Luffy ate the dark fruit instead of Blackbeard, what would happen to the story of One Piece? And most importantly, would Luffy be stronger or weaker with a different devil fruit? To explain how Luffy acquired this devil fruit, let's consider a scenario where Shanks takes the Yami Yami no Mi instead of the Gomu Gomu no Mi. But what could be the rationale behind Shanks obtaining this fruit? Well, we can assume that the Gorosei have a devil fruit that they fear so much that they've changed its name to keep it hidden from public knowledge. This feared devil fruit is the Yami Yami no Mi, also known as the dark fruit. So the red hair pirates decided to take this fruit away from the Gorosei, and still Luffy ended up consuming the fruit and became its user instead of Blackbeard. The discovery of the fruit led Shanks to trigger many positive events in the story, but it also caused some unpredictable new events for Luffy. The course of One Piece will continue as usual as Luffy at the age of 17 begins his journey in East Blue. As in the original timeline, he quickly dealt with most of the antagonists in East Blue. Luffy rescued Kobe from Alvida, and Alvida was easily defeated with a single attack. After that, Luffy invited Zoro to join his crew and took down Captain Morgan. The exact same thing happened to Buggy. Captain Kuro was also defeated very quickly due to the abilities of the Yami Yami no Mi. Because of the force of gravity, Kuro couldn't move as quickly as he would have liked. With that scenario, Luffy was able to acquire the Going Merry and a new crew member, Usopp. Moving on, Luffy invited Sanji to become the cook for his crew and confronted Don Krieg, a notorious pirate captain known for his arsenal of weapons and ruthless tactics. Thanks to Luffy's training, he was able to defeat Don Krieg in this timeline. In Arlong Park, the Straw Hat Pirates faced some difficulties against the Fishmen. Without knowing what the Fishmen were capable of, the Straw Hat Pirates were much more cautious when dealing with them. In the end, Luffy and the others managed to defeat Arlong and his crew. Not only that, but Nami officially joined the crew as the navigator. In Logue Town, things got interesting. As we know, Buggy captured Luffy, which is what happened in the original series. But in this timeline, Luffy wasn't caught by Buggy because of his new abilities. Since Luffy is now a Logia user, he couldn't be easily captured. However, Luffy still had to face Smoker. In this timeline, Luffy could grab Smoker with the help of his devil fruit. While Smoker could try to break free from Luffy, Luffy could simply pull Smoker back to him and touch him to nullify his abilities. So Luffy and the others managed to defeat Smoker and easily escape the chase from the Marines. Therefore, we can't see Dragon in this timeline at all, which is just a waste if you ask me. So far, none of the opponents posed a real threat to him. By acquiring the Yami Yami no Mi, Luffy definitely had the easiest time in the East Blue. Now the question is, how is Luffy's strength compared to the original series? Contrary to what some might think, the dark fruit is one of the most powerful fruits in the original One Piece series. This Logia type devil fruit grants the user the ability to create and manipulate darkness at will. The primary strength of this devil fruit lies in how it can use the darkness to manipulate space, and the best thing about it is that it can nullify a devil fruit abilities. It was so strong, in fact, that Blackbeard was able to beat Ace using it, which eventually led to him being captured by the Marines. It's reasonable to argue that Luffy's fruit could be considered even more powerful given the terrifying destructive power we've already witnessed. Just imagine the black hole ability alone, but in an awakened state. Although the concept of awakenings remains largely a mystery, as we're still uncertain about how each devil fruit is affected, one theory suggests that an awakened Logia can transform objects into their respective ability and significantly expand their range of abilities. Basically, Luffy's going to be a walking weapon of mass destruction. Getting back to the story, what would happen on the adventure of the Straw Hat Pirates on the Grand Line? Actually, it's still similar to the original timeline. The Straw Hat Pirates climb the Reverse Mountain and decide to help Vivi. After that, the Straw Hat Pirates will reach Little Garden. In Little Garden, Luffy and the others face Mr. 3. The Straw Hat Pirates didn't take much time to defeat this wax guy, since Luffy's abilities were too much for Mr. 3 to handle. The exact same thing happened to Wapol, who was easily knocked out by Luffy. In Arabasta, the Straw Hat Pirates easily defeated some members of the Baroque Works, while Luffy faces the leader of the group, Crocodile. The fight against him could be a challenging one for Luffy, same as in the original timeline. But now, Luffy can avoid Crocodile's sand attacks. In the end, Crocodile was beaten by Luffy by nullifying his devil fruit abilities. Unfortunately, the Straw Hat Pirates wouldn't meet Ace in this timeline. Since Blackbeard doesn't acquire this devil fruit, most likely he will still be a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. In the Jaya arc, Luffy wouldn't meet Blackbeard. However, he will be fighting against Bellamy and easily defeats him. After that adventure, the Straw Hat Pirates would stream to travel to Skypiea. Similar to the original timeline, Luffy will face off against Enel. This time, Luffy would be more cautious. This lightning attack of Enel can quickly defeat Luffy if he doesn't dodge it. Yet Luffy managed to nullify Enel and defeat him with the help of Sanji and Zoro. Fast forward, Luffy faces Kuzan, who is the first introduced admiral in the story. Even if Luffy can touch Kuzan and nullify his Logia abilities, he cannot defeat him physically, so they back down and lose Robin. Kuzan is way more high level compared to Luffy. It's like you're level 10 fighting a two-staged 500-foot boss. Fast forward, the crew is drawn into a conflict with the world government because of their defiance and how they want to get revenge for Robin. This time, Luffy faces Rob Lucci, who is a zone user. But what you didn't know is that Luffy can nullify Lucci's own abilities if Luffy can touch him. But with Lucci's speed, it's not gonna be that easy. But he eventually does because, well, there's nothing like a good old black hole. Moving on, the fight against Gecko Moria on Thriller Bark will be much easier. We all know that Moria is not physically strong, so if Moria gets nullified, then he's basically done. Similar to the original timeline, the Straw Hat Pirates will get separated on Sabaody. Obviously, Luffy will end up in the Amazon Lily, but this is where things become even crazier. Since Blackbeard didn't take the Dark Fruit, Ace wouldn't be caught by him, and Thatch is still alive. With that being said, Blackbeard wouldn't be a member of the Shichibukai. Luffy wouldn't break into Impel Down, and there would be no war at Marineford in this version of One Piece. So Luffy and Garp do not have to witness how Ace dies. Without Ace's death, there will be no time skip. Luffy wouldn't experience the trauma that would cause Rayleigh to advise him to wait 2 years for a reunion with his crew. And this plays a crucial change in the story. Luffy and the Straw Hats did not have the training that the 2 years allowed them to do. But how different would it be? Without the time skip, the original plan was to meet again after 3 days to travel to Fishman Island. And that's exactly what happened. The Straw Hat Pirates meet again on Sabaody. After 3 days, they travel to Fishman Island. Now, what would happen on the adventure of the Straw Hat Pirates in the New World? After reaching Fishman Island, the Straw Hat Pirates would continue on their adventure with a slight difference. You see, in the original series, the Straw Hat Pirates would have a fight on this island. But in this timeline, there would be no conflict since the island was still protected by the Whitebeard Pirates. Also, we can assume that Jinbei is still a Shichibukai, so he couldn't make a promise for Luffy to become one of them. What's even more mind-blowing is that Luffy won't challenge Big Mom here. And when it comes to Punk Hazard, as Sengoku is still the fleet admiral, there will be no fight between Kuzan and Sakazuki. Meanwhile, Law will still be there to contact Luffy. The goal and plan will still be the same. We all know that Luffy's goal is to become the king of pirates, and to do that he must face all the Yonko. As for Caesar Clown, he will still be captured by Law. In Dressrosa, things will not be boring like Punk Hazard. That's because Luffy won't meet Sabo and cannot build a grand fleet since there would be no fight in the Kurita Coliseum. Without Haki, Luffy will be easily defeated by Doflamingo, even with Law's help, seeing that an awakened Doflamingo is basically overpowered if no one can counter him with Haki. Knowing that Doflamingo awakened his Devil Fruit power, the Straw Hat and Heart Pirates wouldn't stand a chance against him. There's a chance that Luffy would know Haki at this point, but it won't be as strong or proficient compared to when Rayleigh taught him. Now, after being defeated, this is where Luffy's redemption arc would come into play. After escaping with the Straw Hats, Luffy rethinks his plan and proposes a training session to be ready for the next fight to come. A time skip would naturally occur with Luffy, training to grow stronger with his Haki and Devil Fruit powers. It is also a possibility that he might use the Yami Yami no Mi in some completely different way with enough training. However, that might be a mystery, one can assume. Being much stronger after a few years time skip, Luffy would continue his journey and eventually challenge Doflamingo once again in a heated battle. And that's not even mentioning the other opponents that he will eventually face off in the future, such as Kaido. Luffy would have to get much stronger with new abilities and forms similar to Gear 5 in the original series if he wants to become Pirate King. But that's a what-if video for another time. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more One Piece content.